I'm Dame Lillian Walker, and thanks for tuning in, tapping in, and turning on to this episode and this particular broadcast. I want to share with you a study that was done by Troy University, and it was a group of their athletes. And I thought, wow, what a fantastic thing to be able to share with you guys. Let me see if I can pull that study up here right now. There we go. So I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised to hear about what this life-saving technology, this incredible biohack, which athletes, some of you may or may not be aware that during this past Olympics, just this last summer, many of the athletes who medaled were using our technology. So this is a double-blind placebo-controlled study by our technology as it relates to the improvement of strength as well as endurance in high performance college athletics. So it talks about here how this is a double-blind placebo. I'll repeat that, a double-blind placebo controlled study that was implemented at Troy State University in Troy, Alabama. The athletes were divided into three groups: a control group, a placebo, and then the test group. The control group was tested as is on both of the testing days. The placebo group, which is the second group, was given a set of patches filled with water. This group was unaware as to whether or not the patches were real or water-filled. And then the test group, the third group, was given a set of patches with our technology again. And this group was unaware as to the contents of the patches. It will be emphasized that the athletes were using our LifeWave technology and used the product only once. The test was performed within 10 minutes. They didn't have the patches on for an hour, 10 or 12 hours, 10 minutes. They put the patches and then immediately they were asked to bench press. So let's show what the results are, because the results are pretty impressive. Show you. And if you look at the graphs, how come it's not wanting to? If you look at the control, the placebo, and there's actually
I don't see anything.
you don't see any.
I just see a frozen picture of your face and that it's from something from a video you did on university athletes, but I'm not seeing anything else.
You should be able to see the paper, the research paper, and then the highlighted parts that because I'm doing a share. It says you were screen sharing, and it shows on my end that I'm screen sharing with you guys, but you don't see that?
No, usually there's a little thing at the top where you can click on watching your screen, but it's not here.
That's odd. That's the second time ever that ever happens.
Looking now at the bottom to see if they moved it down there, but no, they didn't. Oh, unless it's under more. Nope. Clicking on docs. Nothing there. Clicking on notes. Nothing there. Nope.
That's odd. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share and see if I can share it with you. Hmm. Do you see it now?
I see that same frozen picture of your face. And
Don't know why it's not sharing the screen. It's so.
and it says down at the bottom, started streaming 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, you should be able to see the screen share that I'm doing.
You know, usually I do that by clicking at the top where it says something about looking at the speaker's screen. But that's
Yeah,
here.
I usually don't have this issue. Let me see if I can get this to move over. But resume. Well, this is definitely a technical.
Well, maybe Carol can see it. She just,
Carol? Yeah, Carol, do you see my screen? Are you able to see the research study with my share screen?
I just see you.
You just see me, but you don't see the share screen.
No.
Okay, let's try
Okay,
this.
now do the share screen again and I'll see what happens.
There's a share screen. On my end, it shows that it's sharing the screen.
no, not on this end.
The screen, I see the screen with you there. Was
But-
it supposed to have another subject?
Yeah, I'm sharing the research study, but it doesn't look like it's showing. It should show the research study and then it should show highlighted in yellow the words that I highlighted, but it doesn't sound like you're seeing that.
No, we're not.
Well, this is kind of odd. Let me try one more thing. Let me see if the preview.
They should have a LifeWave patch to keep you calm. Oh, there it is.
There it
So
is.
that's working.
When there are technical problems.
Patch it. Patch
Oh,
that screen.
patch the screen. Okay. So interesting. I'm surprised. Okay. So, well, at least now it's working.
Yes.
And let me kind of start over. I apologize for those of you who are on YouTube that are watching this broadcast live as well. So we're starting all over. So thanks for tuning in, tapping in, turning on today. We're going to talk about this incredible life-saving technology. And I wanted to share with you guys this study that showed that these students from Troy University who are athletes, the results of the study of them wearing the patches, and they only wore the patches for 10 minutes. So this study, it's a study on X39, and it says a double-blind placebo-controlled study of the LifeWave technology as it relates to the improvement of strength and endurance in high-performance college athletes. Now, some of you may or may not know this, but last summer we had the Olympics, and you may have noticed that many of the athletes who won a medal were actually wearing our technology. And this is why. So in the abstract for this paper, we're not going to read the whole paper. I just highlighted some key points so that you guys got the bottom line. It shows here in this study of X39 that a double-blind placebo-controlled study was implemented at Troy State University in Troy, Alabama. The athletes were divided into 3 groups. There was the control group, the placebo, and the test group. The control group was tested as is, and on both of the testing days, because it was a 2-day study. The placebo group was given a set of patches filled with water. And this group was unaware as to whether or not the patches were real, the real X39 patches, or if they were the placebo, water filled. Then the third group, who actually wore the actual X39 patches, they were given a set of patches with our LifeWave technology. And this group was unaware as to whether they were a placebo, if they were the control group or the test group. So it will be emphasized that these athletes were using our patches and they were tested just 10 minutes after first applying the patches. So let's move on to seeing here. We're not going to get into all the nitty-gritty, but the bottom line was this when they were tested. It shows of the groups that were tested. Okay, it shows that, comparative test, the average increase in strength endurance was 19.7% in the placebo group. With respect to the 5 individuals who did show an improvement in performance from the baseline to the comparative test, the average increase in strength was 30.8. And in the test group, so the base group was 19.7%. The placebo group was a 30.8% increase in their strength and endurance. But with respect to the 6 individuals who showed an improvement in performance from the baseline that actually wore the actual X39, the test group, they had an average increase of 63.8%. So you can clearly say, and one of the bottom lines here was that it was significantly greater than the placebo effect. You have the control group, the test group, and the placebo group. So that I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so let me share with you next, now that you know what it is that we're dealing with, I'm going to go to share with you. Oh, bring it up again. Don't know why I'm having some of these little technical difficulties, but I think I'll just share this one today. Okay, so let's talk about this life-saving technology. For those of you who are interested in getting the bullet points at the end of this presentation, all you have to do is reach out to me either on Facebook or Telegram, and I'll send those bullet points to you, or get back to the person who referred you to this Zoom, and they'll send you the bullet points on the X39. So one of the things that I kind of borrowed this from Dr. Stacy, because she says she figured out what she wanted to be when she got older, and that was she wanted to get younger. And I'm like, sign me up for that too. So welcome to this presentation. And part of the goal is, of course, to look vibrant, feel great, enjoy life as we age. And what if you could change the trajectory of your aging? What if you could be a younger, more youthful you? It's possible. Let's take Allie, for example, and she's in her early 30s. She lives a healthy lifestyle. She's really into yoga and traveling, and she's starting to notice now in her 30s a few little changes, and she feels that she can't party all night, and she's concerned about staying youthful. She's got a lot more responsibility and pressures at work, and she is anxious some days, but she's not willing to do any kind of drugs because she's an organic, holistic kind of a gal. And then we have Dr. Stacy. In her late 40s, lives a healthy lifestyle. She actually turned 50 since this presentation was put together, turned 50 last September 23rd. She feels amazing. She's into her family, teaching and traveling are her loves. She's always been focused on prevention like myself. So since she was in high school, she was into detox cleanses and into eating organic and holistic and clean and healthy, and kind of being more on the health and wellness path, and focus more on prevention, always learning new ways to stay healthy, and vitality is important to her, as well as overall health and wellness in her entire life, right? And then we have this lady named Carla. She's in her mid-50s. She loves being active. She loves her granddaughter. She's starting to notice some changes, and she's got more aches and pains than she'd like to admit. She's got more fatigue. She's starting to gain a little weight. She's not sleeping very well. She's got back pain. She's starting to look and feel older. And so she goes to the doctor, and her doctor has few answers for her. He's just saying, well, you're getting older. We can run tests and we can offer prescription drugs. And so Carla's going, am I ever going to look and feel young again? And then we have Ben, who is in his mid-60s, and he's an active guy. He loves being active, and he's really looking forward towards retirement. It's just around the corner for him. He's looking forward to traveling and getting out, but he's starting to notice some changes. He's got more aches and pains, and he's got decreased libido. He's not sleeping well. He's got knee pain, and his stamina is starting to ebb. And it's taking him longer to recover from his running and his hikes and his activities. And he's really starting to get concerned about heart disease and prescription meds, potentially a knee replacement, which he really doesn't want to do. And he's kind of curious if by the time he actually finally does retire, if he's going to be able to travel and run around the way he had originally planned. Then one of Ben's friends asked him, hey, Ben, have you heard about this patch? Have you heard about the latest in stem cell activation technology, which actually the FDA doesn't like us to call them stem cell activation patches. So since we're on YouTube, we can't call them that anymore because they're claiming that stem cells now are a drug. Go imagine that. So they get to make the rules, we get to follow them. So let's cross our T's and dot our I's. In case there's any FDA regulators out there, we no longer call these stem cell activation patches. We call these patches cell activation patches, phototherapy patches, anything, but we just drop the word stem, okay? So his friend asked him, what have you heard about this patch? And what do you know about stem cells? Has anyone told you about these patches? And he's like, no, I have no idea. Tell me, tell me more. So he begins to tell him that, as you may or may not be aware, your stem cells are the cells that repair, regenerate, and rejuvenate your entire body. And as you age, they decline in the numbers, right? So when you're born, you have 100%. By the time you're 30, 50% of them turn off just because of aging. And then by the time you're 60, 90% have turned off, and you only have 10% remaining to take you to the finish line, no matter whether you last 60, 70, 80, 90, 105 or 10 years, doesn't matter. You have the 10% of your original crew from conception that are left to take you to the finish line. And so that's why we age so much faster once we're north of 60. And so what about stem cell injections? Well, I don't have to tell you that they're expensive. Can run $8,000 to $30,000 for a shot or an IV. It's painful because it is very invasive. It's inconvenient. You have to travel, for this. They're not always effective. For donor stem cells, you have about a 50% acceptance and a 50% rejection rate. So it's a 50-50 gamble that it'll even work for you. There's possible side effects, and there's no guaranteed results. But what if there was an affordable alternative to that? Might you be interested? Well, our scientist, David Schmidt, he's our visionary scientist inventor. I describe him as the combination of, if you were to take Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and Steve Jobs, if you were to braid the three of them into one person, you would get David Schmidt. Brilliant, brilliant mind, very finely tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, very centered, very grounded, very humble, but a brilliant mind without a shadow of a doubt. And he was put under contract by the Department of Defense over 20 years ago. And they said, David, would you come on board to create all sorts of energy products for us? And of course, he said yes. And then they approached him and said, hey, is there anything that you can create? We have our Black Ops Navy SEALs. We have them on amphetamines, uppers, and energy drinks, and those work pretty well. However, as soon as the effects wear out, it's very hard on their body, and they decline and they crash, and we can't have that because they're the first line of defense for defending our country. So can you come up with a better energy alternative that is more organic and holistic? And he's like, let me see what I can do. So I went into prayer, into meditation, because he is a man of prayer and meditation. That really is the key to his success, by his own admission. And when he was in prayer and meditation, he got this divine download. And he immediately ran to his lab to test and to create this invention called a phototherapy patch. So he developed this originally for the Navy SEALs. That's when our company started, was in 2004. In 2004, we had the unfortunate event of 9/11 taking place. And so the defense spending completely shifted, and it was all towards weaponry at that point. And David's like, okay, I'm out. I don't create things that kill people. I create things that help people and save lives. So I don't kill people. So his contract with the Department of Defense, he was released from that. And then he basically launched the company with that energy enhancer patch, which is the first thing that he created for the Navy SEALs. And then he dove into a 10-year deep dive study and research alongside side by side with the University of Galway in Ireland. And he got a pretty big grant, and for 10 years straight. And that's how he developed the suite of what we now have, which are 11 cell activation patches, which are now available in 82 countries. We have 15 global distribution centers for the United States. They're made in FDA registered facilities in San Diego, and in Europe, the UK and Dubai. They're serviced by the manufactured patches that are they're authorized by the Irish Medicine Board, and they're ISO 9001 and 13485 compliant, which is the highest authority for the European Union and the UK. So let's talk about this patented, because we have 120 global patents. That means that the 82 countries had to grant for all 120 patents. All those governments had to agree to grant this global patented technology. They're a wearable patch technology. They use specific, very precise wavelengths of light and frequencies that are programmed into the crystals of each one of these patches. And then the crystals are arranged in a very specific grid work, a lattice work of crystals to create the effect of the mother, the daughter, and each one of those 11 patches. There are no drugs. They're non-drug. They're a medical device, as I said before. They reduce pain and inflammation, and they speed wound healing and tissue repair and regeneration. So let's share with you a few people who have been on the patches along, as well as myself. And here we have a gentleman who, after just 8 short weeks of wearing the patches, he had a basically a rejuvenation effect on his face. You could see the countenance on the quality of his skin. He's much more glowy. He's got better collagen in his skin. And here we have a lady who, not even 30 days on the patches, this is day 1. Day 2, you can see a little improvement. I'm sorry, not day 2, day 30. You could see an improvement. Oh, you got a question, Diana? Oh, you got to unmute.
There. We're not seeing what you're saying. When
You're
you
not seeing the pictures again?
No, we're just seeing the placebo. I wrote you, but I guess you didn't see it.
This is so weird that it looks like obviously Zoom must have changed.
They do that all the time.
Yeah, so they must have changed something again, because for that to happen, it's happening. Can you see this?
Wait, no. Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that little thing came back where you can click up at the top to see your screen, but it wasn't there before.
Okay, so yeah, they're changing things around, it looks like. So, okay. Well, so that means that you didn't see anything before, but at least, okay. So I was hoping you were able to see the presentation. At least now you can see the pictures of the people. Here's the gentleman I just mentioned after just 8 weeks of being on the patches. Here's this lady, first day versus her 30th day. And here she is at 4.5 months later. Here we have this gentleman on June 17th, he fell through the rafters, broke 6 ribs, and he punctured his lung, poor guy. Then just a week later, this is from the 17th to the 23rd is just 6 days. They told him it would be at least 6 weeks, 6 to 12 weeks for him to get back to work. 6 days later, look at how much improvement from the bleeding that he had from breaking 6 ribs and puncturing. I can't imagine how painful it is to have a punctured lung. That's called a pneumothorax. So here he is 6 days later, unheard of. Usually 2 months later, 3 months later, we see something like this. And then here he is 13 days later, 2 weeks, 1 day shy of 2 weeks. Almost all of that blood has detoxed, because that's what happens. Your body has to detox from it. So you have to urinate, defecate, and sweat it out. And you could see most of it has cleared. Not only has it cleared that blood, but it actually has repaired the ribs, the bones, the tissues, the ligaments, the muscle, all of that from the inside of his body. This man was able to get back to work in just 3 weeks. which is also unheard of. Here we have, we've had so many kids who have had this injury where they lost their fingertip or finger. It's so common. It's really, really sad. But one of our gals, Damaris, who happens to live in Canada, she had already got started on the patches for herself when her older son closed the door on her 4-year-old's finger and he lost the fingertip. She grabbed the fingertip, ran to the emergency room, and when she got there, she, shared with her ER doctor the fingertip, and he's like, oh, we're not even going to bother and attach that because it's just going to turn black, it's going to die, and it's going to fall off. He's lost his fingertip, we're just going to close it up. She's like, no, no, no. Please reattach it. We'll go from there. And he's like, but it's not gonna, she's like, no, no, no. Please reattach it. I'll tell you why later. So he reattached it. And then as soon as she got home, she wrapped his finger with the 39 and 49, and he had glutathione, carnosine, and eon farther up his arm. And sure enough, over the course of the next 2 months, not only did that little finger pink, it turned black just like the doctor said it would, but a couple of days later, it went from black to pink. And then it actually, not only that, but it also regrew back his original nail that he had lost. It's really incredible. So here we have another gal who, this woman she had the big C, so she had radiation for the treatments. And this is her at the beginning on June 6th, poor gal. She was kind of in a lot of pain. June 10th, she still had a lot of stuff kind of going on. You can see how she had the progression where she's improving. And by June 23rd, I want you to think about that, June 23rd to June 6th. So this is like 16 days after she started on the patches. From here to here, 16 days. And here she is, June 30th, basically 24 days after she started on the patches. Incredible, 3 weeks. And she doesn't even look like she went through anything. She looks fine. Pretty amazing. We have a lady here who's 77 years old. We actually did a brain scan on her, and you can clearly see from the brain scan, she has a lot of, anywhere where you see red, that's inflammation surrounding the brain, right? In her second session, after wearing these patches, all of her inflammation is gone. And in the third one, all of the inflammation is gone, and you see more restoration and more activity in the brain centers. So decreased brain inflammation, improved memory, focus, and cognitive brain function. That means that her critical thinking skills, her ability to recall, her ability to put words and thoughts together and not lose her train of thought has improved. She also had increasing GHKCU, which is copper peptide, that supports cell and nerve regeneration. So this cellular activation that you have at the master cell level gives you better sleep, increased energy. And in this guy's case, who hadn't been able to hike for 4 years because his joints had basically worn out, after getting on the patches, he was able to get back to hiking, as you can see here in this picture. The word's out, as I mentioned before, a lot of the athletes that medaled are on our patches. And so it gives you activation of your cells, greater energy, greater mental clarity, much faster regeneration of the wounds that you have. You're going to look younger because it's going to reverse age you. It's going to increase your muscles, your bones, your tissues, your nerves, and it's going to give you improved sleep. So if anything were possible, what's the one thing you would choose to experience differently with your health or in the health of someone that you love and care for? And what difference might that make? For most of us, it makes a very large difference, not only for ourselves, but also for our loved ones. So before we go on any further, I want to see if Kyrie, do you have a question, Kyrie? Or perhaps Diana, do you have a question? No question? Kyrie, do you have a question? I think your screen, it's either frozen or maybe that is a maybe your picture for your avatar. Kyrie, do you have a question? You can unmute. Sometimes people have trouble finding. To unmute, you go to the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and where the microphone is, there's a little upside like a V. When you click that, oh, there you go, you found it.
Yeah, not quite yet. I'm just trying to absorb.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm glad you're trying to absorb the information here. So we're going to go on to, if you don't have any questions, Carol, I don't know if you have any questions either. Diana doesn't have any questions. So we're going to go on to the cost of this. These are some of the old prices. So basically all we have is silver. It used to be called silver, platinum, and diamond, and now it's core, advanced, and premium. Get back to the person who got you started on the patches. They can always go over the pricing in greater detail. But basically, you can get started on the Fantastic Five, which is our most popular. Actually, the most popular is actually the platinum, because you get 2 months of free patches when you pay for 3, and you save up to 50%. The middle package, which is the one that gives you 1 month of the Fantastic Five, that is a fantastic package because you save 30%. You pay for 5, and then they give you 5 free, which is pretty spectacular. And then we have the core pack for those who can't afford the entire Fantastic Five. You'll pay for 3 and get 1 free. And that is also a 30% savings like the advanced pack. It's just that you pay for 3 and get 1 free. So you're doing 4 of the Fantastic Five. So depending on what your needs are, we can figure out which patches it is that you might need to get yourself on track. So do we have any, if we don't have any other questions, I'm going to wrap it up here because I do have an 8 o'clock appointment I need to run out to. And you can always circle back around to the person who referred you to this video. If you're in Telegram, you can always shoot me a message in Telegram or join the stem cell activation support and information group for those of you who are not on the patches. If you're on the patches already, of course, you're part of the Dame Lillian support group or the Evolve team, which is a much larger. Some people get lost in the Evolve team because we have over 9,000 people in there. But either place you can get in touch with me. You might already have my number to get in touch with me as well. All right. Ciao for now, my friends and gems. Great to see you, Diana, Carol.
See you. Thank you, Lillian.
Kyrie, thank you for joining the call.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more, we're going to be a slightly different presentation tomorrow at noon. Same Zoom link. We have 12, 2, and 7 p.m. I'll be able to answer your questions, and we'll go into greater detail showing the bullet points at that time. Okay?
Oh, great. For like how to choose specific things, that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be more specific.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.